Emblematic of those distant days when buccaneers roved the seas, the massive stone treasure chest at Broome, Western Australia, commemorates the visit of William Dampier, the first Englishman ever to come to this continent. Before the war, Broome was possibly the most cosmopolitan town in Australia, with a population of Asiatics, Malays, Aborigines and Europeans existing solely on the pearling industry. Names of world-famous jewel merchants on rough corrugated iron buildings in Broome contrast oddly with the fashionable establishments of the continent. The peak of this West Australian primary industry was 1912, when 400 pearling luggers employing nearly 3,000 men fished for pearls and mother-of-pearl shell in Broome. Though the industry has declined considerably in the intervening years, it remains today as one of importance in the economy of the state. Sailing northward from the site of present-day Broome, Dampier explored the islands now known as Buccaneer Archipelago. In these waters, shipping depends on the tide, which rises and falls up to 35 feet twice daily. As ships twist their way through the narrow and shallow channels separating the islands of the archipelago, those on board can see evidence of the rise and fall in deep stains high on the solid rock sides of the islands. In a matter of hours, small rocks jutting through the surface of the sea appear as sizable islands, only to disappear quickly as the tide turns. When Buccaneer Dampier sailed those uncharted seas in 1688, his lack of knowledge of the treacherous tide must have caused him great anxiety. Rising for hundreds of feet sheer from the sea is Koolan. The rock strata of the island dips at an acute angle to the sea, as though the island were lying on its side. On this island there is an estimated 60 million tons of iron ore. Adjoining Koolan is Cockatoo Island, to which, if Dampier landed there, he was probably welcomed by screeching white cockatoos wheeling in flight, resentful of human intrusion of their sanctuary. But Cockatoo Island has undergone great changes since those days, changes wrought by man in his search for minerals essential to the maintenance and improvement of modern life. Cockatoo Island was taken over by Australian Iron and Steel in 1928, and the second expedition in 1935 worked without interruption until 1941. The decision to develop the island was made in 1944. When His Excellency, the Governor of Western Australia, arrived at the island in 1952, 8 years had elapsed since the decision to develop was first made. Neat, colourful bungalows, sited on a narrow isthmus, which makes for a pleasant living because of nearness to the sea, sparkled under the clear light of a tropic sun. Houses which are provided with essential furniture, including refrigeration, electric stoves, built-in cupboards, hot and cold running water, and sewerage. The operating company has been generous in its attitude to home amenities, with the object of attracting and retaining suitable staff. Houses, elevated on concrete piles, take full benefit of the cooler evening breezes. From April to November, winter climate is delightful, but during the wet, from December to March, temperature and humidity make living conditions less comfortable. A small isolated community such as this requires a highly developed community spirit to compensate for the loss of the diverse attractions of city life. And the people of the island have risen to the occasion and have willingly undertaken the many duties essential to harmonious living. Almost every person plays a part in the community effort. When work is finished, men and women wend their way to the recreation centre to enjoy their leisure in many ways, in an atmosphere characterized by a warm friendliness. They realize that good fellowship towards all is the only basis upon which life can be made enjoyable in a community that numbers less than a couple of hundred people. Remoteness has also necessitated the installation of a comparatively large maintenance workshop. The machines and tools cover most contingencies of electrical and mechanical maintenance for the power, crushing and shiploading plants, quarry equipment, and air, water and power mains reticulated, where needed, throughout the island. The main ore body is a single bed of hard, high-grade hematite, which forms the southern coastline. and varies in width from 15 to 100 feet. The maximum face height of the ore body is 400 feet above sea level, and the average height 260 feet. By means of drilling and blasting, ore is broken on the quarry floor and then shoveled by 8-ton capacity electric shovels into 25-ton diesel trucks. It's interesting to note that the all-electric shovels and the bodies of the 275 horsepower trucks were built in Australia. The shoveling rate, under ideal conditions, is 400 to 450 tons per hour. The road journey from quarry face to crusher and return takes about 10 minutes, and each shovel keeps 3 huge trucks continuously on the move. In the main ore body to high water mark, there is an estimated 20 million tons, and it is expected that 21,000 tons will be produced each week. Heavily laden trucks skirt picturesque seascapes as they rumble down steep inclines on the way from the quarry to the crushing plant located hundreds of feet below. By heavy side cutting, a safe two-way concrete paved road has been constructed to speed up transport between the quarry and crusher. As the truck moves into position, the crane is lowered and the ore side-tipped into the primary crusher, from which dust is excluded by positive air pressure. The primary crusher breaks the ore down to a 10-inch product, and a surge bin between the primary and secondary crushers provides secondary crushing time should truck deliveries be delayed. Seated between both crushers is the secondary crusher operator, and with the aid of mirrors, he can see the chute gate in front and the crushers behind him. The shiploading plant comprises equipment to convey, weigh and elevate iron ore for discharge into ships' holds. The plant is capable of being raised to discharge ore into a light ship at high water and of being depressed to load a partially loaded ship at low water. This is necessary because of the 35 feet rise and fall of tide. After automatic weighing, the ore continues up and onto the shuttle boom belt. The shuttle boom is winched out for loading purposes, an adjustable chute is lowered, and the ore rushes down into the ship's hold, ready for a 2,000-mile voyage to the steelworks. Iron ore, which has laid untouched for millions of years, is now being treated in Australian works and fashioned by the hands of Australian workmen into the steel products essential in this modern age. The operating company is displaying that same enterprising spirit as did Dampier when he discovered Buccaneer Archipelago a little more than 250 years ago.